liquor licenses of the McHenry City Code, and also including consumption and serving on the outside premise. I'm looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Miller?
I'll make that motion to approve a Class A liquor license for Clubs Indoor Golf LLC located at 3315 Pearl Street, and to pass an ordinance amending our section to include that liquor license.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Davis?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Just so the council is aware, we added the verbiage regarding the outside consumption and serving just to cover the premise that's outside their area, which is on their patio. They would be required to put a fencing or a railing up in order to have that consumption. But we want to clarify that just so that way when this passes, or if it does pass, we don't have to come back for a different. Perfect. So, but just so you know, all right. So I am looking for council comments. The applicant is here this evening. So if you have any questions, she can answer those for you. Any questions by council? Any public comment? Would you like to say anything before we go to a vote? No, you're good? Okay. All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey,
Yes.
Alderman Davis. I'm sorry, Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bainey.
Yes.
Thank you, council. And next item on the agenda is video gaming for Clubs Indoor Golf, pending the approval of Class A liquor license that was just approved. I'm looking for a motion to approve a video gaming license to Clubs Indoor Golf LLC, located at 3315 Pearl Street in McHenry, subject to the completion of a video gaming development agreement, and to pass an ordinance amending section 4-6-8, subsection A, pertaining to the number of video game licenses of the McHenry City Code. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Miller?
I'll make the motion to approve the video gaming license to Clubs Indoor Golf LLC at 3315 Pearl Street, McHenry, subject to the completion of a development agreement, and to pass the ordinance amending section 4-6-8 pertaining to the number of gaming licenses we have.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Doherty?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion by city council on this item? Alderman Miller?
So John and I always pull John in, did this facility did not have gaming before, correct? No. Okay. Never had gaming? It was just an open reception area.
Yeah, there's been no gaming. There's been no gaming at that site.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by council? Alderman Glad?
Not a question, but just a statement. That's basically, I think we've gotten to the point to where we're totally oversaturated with video gaming, and I realize that some businesses put that into their business plan as far as income, whether whether their business will make it or not. But the thing is the more licenses.
They can't hear you.
The more licenses that they give out, the less revenue that every business owner takes and reaps out of the video gaming, because eventually you saturate it. As we have gotten more and more gaming in town, I don't think our revenue has really increased much. And so therefore the individuals, when we first originally started this years back, the council had a decision at that time whether we even wanted video gaming in the city or not, and it was only decided that it was to help the certain businesses that were struggling. That's why we allowed the video gaming. Unfortunately, then we had, before we knew it, the gates were open and we had video gaming places opening up that basically that's all their business was. And it's just got out of hand, and I just think to some extent there's got to be a limit someday that we have as far as how many video gaming places we're going to have in town.
Thank you. Any other? Oh, Alderman Bassey.
Thank you. McHenry has issued the most gaming license in the entire county by a significant margin. I voted no last month on video gaming license because the default of businesses requesting gaming licenses with liquor license, particularly in the downtown districts, need to change. I understand gaming is a significant source of revenue, but 46 license is excessive. So similar to Alderman Glab, I will be voting no.
Thank you. Any other comments by City Council? Alderman Bainey?
I don't know if you're still interested in opening this without a video gaming license, but everything about this particular project makes me feel like this is a different spin on an opportunity to get a gaming license. Even the sign doesn't look anything like a golfing simulator location, but like a gaming spot. So I'm really not, I didn't find this very inspiring, and it feels very much like a gaming facility to me, which I'm highly opposed to. So I won't be supporting it either.
Thank you. Any other comments by council? Would you like to respond to that? And if you could hit the middle button. Thank you.
Sure. So no, the main focus is golf simulators, which are very expensive. So it would not be fiscally prudent to have it just as a gaming facility. In addition to the fact that it's a large facility and the rent is not cheap either. So that's not the intent, but it is a natural correlation with the type of business that it is. So people that like to golf also like to game. If couples come out, sometimes maybe one member of the couple doesn't like to golf and the other one would like to be doing something while they're doing that. I myself, as a working professional mother, I like to sometimes go game after work because then I don't want to sit at a bar, but I do want to decompress and I want to have a nice place where I can do that kind of in private, but also, just come down for that. So for me, it's a natural correlation for it. Yes, obviously revenue does make a difference for a business. And the studies show, like in talking with the gaming over, Gold Rush Gaming, they're like, it makes sense because people like to go and then they'll switch and they'll go to another one. Like, so it brings more business, kind of like the McDonald's across from a Burger King, like they come together. So they felt like it would be a good place to put their machines. It is not if it was a gaming in disguise, you wouldn't do the square footage. You wouldn't put in simulators that cost tens of thousands of dollars. And we have, that's not it, but it's just a natural extension. And this is a facility that will also, because it's large on the front side, we have the ability to do different things like line dancing and swing dancing. And in talking to the instructor that I'm talking about of coming out, she's like, swing dancing has a big following where people come from town to town to town. So it's going to bring people in from towns that aren't necessarily just from McHenry. And then you don't want them to have to leave your facility or, it'd be nice. It's just another thing for them to do while they're there. And it does help the business.
But you're still hanging you're still hanging a gaming sign outside though as the name.
No, I mean,
it's
Clubs
just
is the name because I've been playing around with it because I was doing things with the golf club, but it was kind of, I don't know, it just wasn't turning out as good. I thought gold was like a classy kind of look with the club. So, calling clubs, because I also thought we can have gaming as far as mahjong nights and just a bunch of games that you have. So I thought it was a pretty symbol, but I've also been playing around with it and it might be moving away from it, but it's like I'm toying with the brand. I just thought one is something that just exuded fun but classy. And so maybe I missed. So luckily I haven't bought the sign yet. So if you don't like it, that's good feedback. So.
All right. Any other questions? Alderman Miller?
Hi, are you Jamie?
I am, yes.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
So just a couple of follow-up questions. Have you done something like this before? Is this your background or?
This is not my background. This is my dream. So I run the United Way of Greater McHenry County. And prior to that, I was an executive in banking.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've never owned a liquor establishment or you've never done any gaming?
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions by council? Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it. Open up for public comment regarding this item. All right, Trish, whenever you're ready, you can call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bainey,
No.
Alderman Glad,
No,
Alderwoman Bassey,
No.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
Yes.
That is passed. All right. Well, congratulations. We look forward to you opening up and can't wait to show you how bad I'm at golf. So congratulations again. Thank you. And thank you, John, for working with her. John, thank you for working with her too as well. So can't wait to fill that space. So thank you. Next item on the agenda is 6C, golf course CUP and annexation. There's going to be two motions to this. The first motion is to pass an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for the operation of a golf course prior to annexation for an approximate 102.09 acre portion of property commonly known as 820. I want to say 420. That's weird. 820 North John Street. I apologize. Jeez, I am looking for a motion to pass this item 6C. Alderman Bainey.
I'll make the motion to pass an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for the operation of a golf course prior to annexation for an approximate 102.09 acre portion of the property known as 820 North John Street.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Miller.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by city council. Alderman Glad.
I just think that we should pull this from the agenda and pass it next week or the next meeting. Basically, how do you grant a conditional use permit for a property that is not in the city? I have no problems with what's being, brought out to us tonight. The thing is it has to have a proper order of the way it's done. We need to do the annexation tonight, and the annexation isn't done just because of the fact that we vote yes. Until it's signed and countersigned and put into the county, it isn't in the city, it isn't annexed. Years back, we took and we had a property on the south end of town that was annexed in, and we didn't find out until 6 months later that the petitioner had never signed the annexation and it never got annexed into the city. So all I'm getting at is it's in the annexation agreement that we're going to allow them a conditional use. And I think that shows good faith on our part. We should pass the ordinance tonight as far as the annexation, and then we should do as far as a proper granting of a conditional use ordinance at the next meeting available.
Cody, do you have a response to that, please?
Sure, yeah. So the petitioner is requesting approval to accommodate the existing golf course operations. The only thing that's changing on the properties, they're proposing a small expansion of the existing garage. The ordinance is designed this way because on section 1 that talks about when it takes effect is upon annexation. So this ordinance does not go into effect on property we don't have control over. It only goes into effect upon which the property is annexed, which is the following ordinance. So this allows him, because the petitioner doesn't want to annex into the city unless he is guaranteed that he can continue the golf course operations that have been there for 115 plus years or so. So that's why in section 1, you will see that it says upon annexation. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Any other questions by council? Alderman Bassey?
I understand what you just said, Cody, and thank you for that, but can't we just do the annexation first? And then do the ordinance? Because either way, it's going to end up with the same results.
Okay.
So the ordinance is what grants it its conditional use to operate. It's kind of up to Ed if he would like to, or if he matters to him at all. But the order is that way, so that way he can get his guarantee that upon annexation, he can continue to operate the existing golf course. That's really what it boils down to.
All right. So, David, I'll pass this on to you now.
This is all semantics. So long as it passes, so long as both pass, it's really moot. If you want to do it in order, you can do that. So take the second motion, forget the one that we just talked about. It's a motion to annex the property, subject to it, the conditional use being granted. So the owner knows it's not going to be annexed unless the conditional use is granted, or you do it the other way around, the way Cody's drafted it. You're granting the conditional use subject to it being annexed. It doesn't really make much difference. Logically, I get what both of you are saying. And in a normal course of business, if there was an agreement, the agreement would come first because that dictates what we're going to do. And then the ordinance annexing the property and then the ordinance zoning it. There is no agreement, by the way. So this is a little different. We're just annexing it and then we're going to zone it. So whoever wants to do it, whichever way, just as long as it's conditioned on the other ordinance being adopted.
So the motion's on the floor now. I mean, if we do it that way, we're good. As long as
Yeah, because he has in the ordinance itself that it's conditioned on
upon
the annexation of the property. So it works.
Alderman Cook.
It's just a little confusing.
Is this setting some kind of precedence that, in the future and all that?
No,
I mean,
maybe.
I understand where everybody's coming from.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
we
Everything's
can
a
do it
maybe.
either way. I'm telling you, it works. And
I
it's not a
understand that.
precedent that we're worried about at all. It's just semantics. It's just which one they both work.
It just sounds like they don't trust the city council. So, okay.
It works.
Any other questions? Alderman Gleb?
Yeah, I just want to bring up the fact that for the petitioner, just so they know, I mean, if we approve the annexation today and we wait until it's totally annexed, and then it comes to the city council for conditional use, and if the city turns them down, then basically the contract, we're in breach of the contract.
No, there's no contract. There's no agreement.
The annexation is an agreement.
No, it isn't. It's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance,
It has
okay?
nothing to do with an
Okay,
agreement.
so then
It's
we
ordinance
have
the
to
moment
follow the
we
ordinance.
vote.
Then we have to follow the ordinance, otherwise it's mute.
It's.
You know what,
annexed-
I'm not going to argue with an
Yeah,
attorney
right,
up here.
right, that's
I've done
good.
that many a times and it's twisted every which way. The way I feel is there's a proper procedure of how it's done. And if I don't feel comfortable with it, I just won't vote for it. Even though I like the whole idea, it's just, I feel the procedure isn't the way it should be.
If Andy convinced the movement and the second, withdraw the motion in the second, and we'll go to the second motion contingent on the conditional use permit being granted, I'm sure the owner will be just as happy.
So are the two,
But if you're not moved, then stick with it.
Alderman Miller? And,
I'm fine as it is.
all right, any other discussion by city council? Any public comment regarding this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bainey,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi,
Yes.
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
No?
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is the second portion of 6C is a motion to pass an ordinance annexing 102.9 acres tract of land commonly known as 820 North John Street in McHenry County, Illinois. I'm looking for a motion to approve. Alderwoman Bainey?
I make a motion to pass an ordinance annexing a 102.09 acre tract of land commonly known as 820 North John Street, McHenry County, Illinois.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Doherty?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Just so you know, Trish, I will be voting on this one. All right. Any comments by council? Any public comment? Trish, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bainey,
Yes.
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes?
Alderwoman Bassi,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Judd,
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Hens, thank you very much. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is 6D, multifamily development at 3512 Pearl Street. Looking for a motion to pass an ordinance granting a final plan approval for the conditional use permit and final plan approval for the planned unit development at 3512 Pearl Street. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Doherty?
I'll make a motion to approve the multifamily development at 35 Pearl Street
to pass the ordinance granting the final plat approval for conditional use permit and the final plat approval for planned unit development at 3512 Pearl Street.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Alderman Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. The applicant is here. I believe Full Circle has their whole team here, so if you have any questions for their team, they are present. What's that? And there's a presentation, so we're going to go ahead and call you up here now. I forgot about that, sorry. Floor is yours. Can you hit that center button? Thank you, sir.
My name is Jordan Bartle. I work with Full Circle Communities. I'm here about Pearl Street Commons, Phase 2. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and present and for consideration of our zoning request.
Can you talk louder?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Try it now.
Can you hear me better?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Just as a refresher, Full Circle, we're a nonprofit that is a developer, owner, and property manager of affordable housing. We are the owner and manager of Pearl Street Commons at 3512 Pearl. We've been around since 1999, and we developed Pearl Street Commons back in like 2017 to 2019, that time frame. So what we're here, what I'm here to talk about today is conditional use permit for a planned unit development for that incorporates the original Pearl building and a planned phase 2 that would be a new construction 10-unit building. So it would bring the 25 units up to 35. And this just quickly would show the two buildings together on the site. So as a reminder, Pearl Street Commons is 25 units, mostly 1 bedrooms, a couple of 2 bedrooms. It is affordable, supportive housing for veterans and people with disabilities. Again, we finished construction in 2019 and we've been managing it since then. Part of what kind of sets Full Circle apart is that we take 75% of the money that we make from doing this work and we partner with service provider organizations. And so we partner with AID, who's here today, and we also work with the Veterans Path to Hope, and that allows us to provide services to the residents at no cost to them. And so what we are proposing is this new construction building 10 more units, 8 of them 1 bedrooms and 2 2-bedrooms. This is really an expansion of the work we're doing already at the original Pearl Street Commons. And when we developed that original building, we always had in our plans to come back and finish out the vacant lot on the west, to the west of our building at the corner of Pearl and 31. And so we would continue to work with AID and Veterans Path to Hope and also kind of expand our services with a closer relationship with the VA, who would provide services and refer veterans to live at the property. And then, this is the site plan. So we've really tried to design this in a way where the second building and the first one kind of act almost like a campus, and that the two properties are complementary of each other. So we've we've cited the new building parallel to 31, and as the staff report notes, the building is partially within that building setback to the north, but it still maintains 31 feet from our building to the lot line, and right there are not the single family home itself, but their garages. And actually at the planning and zoning meeting, one of those neighbors was at the meeting and told us that they were in support of the new development and enjoy being our neighbor. And then if you notice, we also are planning a bigger patio because the one we have on the first building is kind of on the small side. We're proposing a striped pedestrian walkway between the 2 buildings to encourage the residents to take advantage of the amenities that are in both buildings, and just like encourage community between the residents. And then partway through the walkway, we're showing kind of two pergolas and with some benches. And I'll come back to parking, but we are showing in building that pergola area, we're losing 4 spots, but 4 parking spots, but we're showing 4 new ones. So this is a view from the parking lot looking northwest of the building, so the east facade. So you get a sense of that patio space, the front of the building, and the covered entry. And we're using the same colors and building materials as the original Pearl. It might not show up that well on the image, but one thing to note is that we're showing a kind of lower amount of brick. And that's because we want the buildings to not look the same as each other, but kind of speak to each other design-wise. And also we felt that with that building being close to the street, having a lower amount of brick would help make it not seem so tall. And here's the west facade, so looking from 31 northeast. And with this, I mean, similar or the same materials, but along the street wanting to step down the building so it doesn't feel as like tall and bulky along the street. So there's the 1-story bit closest to the street, and then it goes up to 2 stories. All right, and then on the parking side, there's currently 37 spots, including 2 ADA spots, but as if any of you drive by, you know that they really don't get used much. So we've done our own parking counts and found that really has a kind of low utilization rate. So we don't want to spend the time and energy on building a lot of new parking and adding a lot of paved space. So what we're ending up with is still a total of 37. We lost those 4 and then gained 4 new ones. And then working with the city staff, we are showing 5 land bank spots in the green box there. So we would still end up with 37. We'd gain 2 additional ADA spots in that, and that would still get about 1-to-1 spots between parking spots and then units and staff. And we will own this in the staff report. It makes mention of like, okay, what if this turns into market rate housing, and all of a sudden the parking is really important then. Because of the federal and state funding that we get to do these projects, we commit to them being affordable for a minimum of 30 years. And since we own it as a nonprofit and we stick with the ownership, that will just keep going beyond that. And then just to finish out, we think this is a great expansion of the work we're already doing at the property, and it helps the city meet some of the planning goals around infill housing and providing opportunities for attainable housing in the community. And with that, I'll thank you very much again for the opportunity. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yeah, Cody, on the norm of a apartment building, what would be the normal amount of parking that would be required for both units together?
53 spaces.
Okay. And they're projecting just 37?
Correct.
Okay. So in the future, where are you going to add those extra parking spots?
So in the, we're proposing land banking in that green box. There are 5 additional spots.
There will be enough space there to put them all in, though?
Not to the 57, no. There
I'm
would be-
sorry?
Not to the 57, no. It would be
No,
the
we need it to 53. I think, isn't that what you said?
53 per the ordinance.
53.
Right. So if for some reason these buildings become to the fact where they're no longer needed for their use and it winds up to be a regular apartments, it's going to need 53 parking spots. Otherwise, you will take and put the onus on the city to provide parking that we have enough problems as it is right now. So my question is how do you perceive that for the future to be able to provide those 57 parking spots?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we're going to be the long-term owner of this, and we're a nonprofit that only does affordable housing. So this will just continue to be affordable housing. And the population we serve, they have really low rates of car ownership and primarily use public transportation or dial-a-ride. So our plan is to still just do the 37 plus the potential for 5 more.
Right, which, in other words, you can't make the 57.
Correct. No.
Okay, so I always look at, how ever since we started with the seniors living centers, 30 years ago almost, I've always looked at, in fact, we actually had some developments to where they had to bank a certain amount of area so that we would have the parking for the future. And we discussed this the first time on the first wave, when you built the first building, that
Right.
we would need something for the future, especially when you came back with this, that there would be a plan so that you would have 57 parking spots or whatever the ordinance called for at the time.
Correct.
And
then I
you're
think,
coming here forward without a plan for it.
well, I think because it just has been such low utilization, that has kind of backed up the fact that we just don't feel like for what we're proposing for the use that we have, that we're the owner of now and will continue to be the owner of in the future, that number of parking spots just isn't necessary. And so we're asking for a different level.
Well,
be
we wouldn't
approved.
create an ordinance unless we really felt that we needed the parking. In fact, parking has been reduced over the years compared to what it was 30 years ago. So
Mhm.
to me, I have a problem with that. And I also have a problem with it jaunting out that extra, 6 feet? I don't, you couldn't have the amount of parking you have without taking and bringing that building forward. And that just throws the whole landscape across Richmond. All of a sudden, this building sticks out. And I just think to some extent it doesn't fit. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Alderman Benny?
Hi, thank you. I have a few questions. I am in huge support of this project and think it's much needed. So thank you for continuing to build that out. I'm curious about the brick situation.
Mhm.
It wasn't a financial thing not wanting to do the brick in lieu of, I just feel like they don't really match. And I'd love to see that look more like a cohesive community, but was just, just my opinion.
Yeah, sure. So I think of course there's some financial savings, but part of the reason why, or the main reason why, was because it's the building that's closer to the street. And so we felt like having that lower amount of brick would just make the building feel like less heavy and tall close to the street. And then that we wanted the designs to speak to each other, but not be saying the same thing. So that's why we did the lower brick.
Again, I know that's just an opinion, but
Sure.
Another thing, when I was looking at the drawing of the building, and I don't know, it looked like the second floor has almost no windows. Are there units that don't have windows at all? Or are we just
No.
not seeing them on this?
No, so on the, let's see.
Because it's like the street
Right there.
facing side and the side, like there's no windows basically on half that building.
Yeah, so on this side, we don't have a floor plan on here, but the units face east. So like on this side, on the second
Oh,
floor,
okay.
they've got all the windows like for the bedrooms and the living rooms. And on this side is a corridor that runs along.
Okay.
And-
That makes sense. Thank
Right.
you.
And at the two ends, they're storage
Okay.
rooms.
I was
So,
just
yeah.
curious. It just seemed odd, but okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then another question, not really relevant to my vote, but curious. I know in planning and zoning, Dawn Bremer had talked about you were going to reach out to PACE to see if that was a partnership that they would put a shelter there so that the residents in that area, since it'll be growing, would have easier access to public transportation. Has
Mhm.
anything been done about that?
Yes, we have reached out to them. Cody helpfully gave us a contact person, but we have not heard back from them yet.
Okay, but that's something you're entertaining and trying to.
Oh,
work
yes,
with.
yeah.
Okay.
And after we did the first building, we had some conversations with PACE then. And the idea was that we would pick the conversation back up at this time, so it's not a new idea for them.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Alderman Davis?
Yeah, I had the same question or the same thoughts as Alderwoman Bainey, that I don't think the buildings match. I appreciate, since this one's gonna be on 120, it's gonna be, obviously, right there for everybody to see. So, I personally probably wouldn't vote for it just because of the way that it looks. Like, this rendering to me looks like a low-income housing. It doesn't match the other one. It doesn't give that cohesiveness, like she said. So that would be something that I would want to see. I do appreciate the step down, since it is going to be right on 120 there. Other than that, the only other problem I have is the parking too. I mean, that's a big difference, even though it's not being utilized. If for some reason something ever did happen, we're kind of causes more issues with parking, which we already have today. So other than that, that's my comments.
Thank you. Alderman Miller, go ahead.
Thank you. I support the project.
Thanks.
I supported it in 2017. I support it today. I think you supply housing for a particular section of the community that is incredibly important. I don't have a big issue with the brick, but I understand the continuity from building to building. I do have that concern about parking. I'm grateful that you put in the 19% utilization, because as I visited this particular phase one, there's, other than the ribbon cutting day and the open house days, the parking lot is not full and it is not utilized. But I can certainly see with 35 units, even if everyone had a guest, then that 37 is probably going to be used. And when I first looked at your print, I'm like, well, could we squeeze those extra 5 in? And that gets us to 42. And if we move the walkway to 2 instead of 4, then we're at 44. So I, although I read the notes from planning and zoning, I still think, I love the project, but I think the parking needs to be tweaked. I don't think what you're proposing is enough with the land bank. I think I would like to see that land bank improved and made available, because I think you're going to need it. But that's just my personal opinion, and thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions, comments by council? Any comments that you would like to give before I go to public comment?
No, thank you very much.
All right. You may have a seat. Thank you. Is there any public comment? You could please state your name and address for public record.
Is this still on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
There you go.
Good evening. I'm Lori Baker. I'm the president and CEO of the Association for Individual Development. Our address here in McHenry is 5342 Elm Street. We've been here since 2016, providing community mental health services such as therapy, counseling, employment services, case management, et cetera. We have been a partner on Pearl 1, delivering services there since its inception, and would be a partner for Pearl 2. I just want to give you a little context as to the need for such a building. Right now, in zip code 60050, you need to make $36.73 an hour in order to afford fair market rent for a 2-bedroom apartment. I don't know a lot of our minimum wage, by the way, is $15 an hour. And people with disabilities who make SSI receive about $967 a month. So since the target population for this property is people with disabilities and people who are veterans, they could afford $290 a month in rent, making $967 a month. And fair market rent for a 0-bedroom, 1-bedroom is upwards upwards of $1,500 and more. So you can see that there's a mismatch between income and what people are able to afford. AID is turning 65 this year, even though we've just been in McHenry since 2016. And we have a long history of providing services and supports for people with disabilities. In these types of affordable housing units. We also have a long history with Full Circle Communities. We also develop our own housing along this line, and I can guarantee you that parking will never be an issue at any of these properties, because even our friends don't necessarily have the income to be able to have automobiles in order to be able to use those parking spaces, and it's a really expensive thing to build a parking lot to sit there empty. And I think the pace cover is much more important thing to be concerned about, because people will be using that the most. I encourage you to vote yes. This is a drop in the bucket for the need in the city of McHenry and in McHenry County as a whole for this type of affordable housing with services and supports for people with disabilities and veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Any other public comment? How are you, sir?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Please state your name and address for public record.
Yes, my name is Glenn Simmons. I am a resident at 3512 Pearl Street.
Thank you, sir.
I come here to fully support the Phase 2 project. We at Pearl Street have had extreme support from Pearl Street Commons, AID, and Full Circle Communities. I was one of the first residents that moved into Pearl Street. I came here after having 2 floods in a 1-year period, exactly to the same date. The first flood wiped me out halfway. The second flood took everything I owned. When I came up here to Pearl Street, I didn't even have a bed to sleep on. I was sleeping on the floor with no blanket. Within 3 days, with the help of Pearl Street Commons and Veterans Path to Hope, I went from sleeping on the floor to being fully furnished, from a teaspoon in the drawer to a king-size bed in my bedroom. I cannot express how grateful I am for the community support, especially when it came to me. And I can honestly speak for the residents in our building that they fully support this project as well. Most of us, we don't have cars, so we do rely on public transportation. We have never had a problem with the parking. In fact, most of us use Dial-A-Ride. When I came to Pearl Street, I didn't have a job and I was sleeping in my car. Today, I am a cook at the Navy base. I leave my house at 2 in the morning to get to the base at 3 to start making breakfast for the soldiers. I would not have had, I'm sorry, for the troops, the Navy personnel. I would not have had the opportunity to be in that position if it had not been for the community support that I received here in McHenry. Veterans Path to Hope saw that my car was broken down and they got me a car. So I have a working automobile where I can go back and forth to work. So what I'm saying is this program that we have at Pearl Street, if the residents take advantage of what is offered to them, they can go a long, long way. So I fully support the program. I fully support the extension. And I pray that there will be a yes vote when we leave here. Thank you.
Hi, Laura Franz, Veterans Path to Hope, and our address is 805 South McHenry in Crystal Lake. I'm just adding icing to the cake. We were part of Pearl Street 1. We've been a part of the people that live there, the staff that work there, helping support the veterans that live there, and being able to have affordable housing that's in a safe community where there's public transportation is life-changing. Our agency has been around serving homeless veterans, and so most of what we do is help homeless veterans. And I can't tell you the angst we have over trying to find housing that veterans who are living on disability that they're able to afford. It's a real problem, and we're delighted to hear 10 is not a huge number, but to us, that means a possibility of 10 people that are not going to be living in their cars. They're not going to be camping in the woods next to our building. They're going to have a safe, good place to live. Any project that Full Circle is interested in starting, we are willing to support. They're a very good company. Their properties are well managed. They really care about the people that live there and go out of their way to make sure that they get the services like ours and AID that are needed to help support the people so that they stay in their housing and they have stability, many of them for the first time in their lives. So I hear you about the parking. I agree that most of the veterans they can't afford cars, and I'm assuming that's the same for disabled population in general. It's pretty rare that people are able to afford the gas even. So I hope that you will give some grace with the parking and really consider supporting this project. It really is life-changing, and we've appreciated the first phase of this greatly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can I speak on this one too?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm Carolyn Schofield in Crystal Lake, but I am here actually to speak on the next one, but I have to take the opportunity because I am the president of the McHenry County Mental Health Board, and I'm also the McHenry County representative for the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. So this really spoke to me tonight because I will say I'm not here on either of those, but I am speaking through experience with both of those organizations. And we have continually been talking about housing, affordable housing, supportive housing, and how do we bring it to McHenry County. And I can't tell you already today, I've had 3 conversations regarding housing and how we get affordable and supportive housing to McHenry County and the transit to actually coordinate with that housing and provide transportation for our residents as well. So seeing this project tonight, I just had to come up and show my support for it because the one missing link that we have in these conversations are the municipalities that will actually support the ideas that people bring before them. And so I commend you for entertaining the idea of this project, for having these projects in your community. And I hope that you will support this project, even though acknowledging sometimes projects for affordable housing and supportive housing do require concessions to be made, but it is worth it for those individuals that it impacts. So thank you so much for supporting this project.
Thanks, Carolyn. Appreciate it. Anyone else that'd like to make a public comment? All right. So there's obviously some concerns by the council, and I don't really want to put it to a vote right this second. And we want to talk this through because this needs to pass one way or the other. So I don't want to rush it. And there's obviously a lot of effort that's gone into this for funding, right? How long does it take for funding for this to get this? I mean, years, so we can't so let's talk this out. Let's talk this through and see how we can make these adjustments, with the motion or whatever the case may be. I'm going to have David kind of step in a little bit and help so we can try to get this accomplished.
So it seems to me that from the city council standpoint, you obviously agree that this is a use you'd like to see probably unanimously. And the only thing getting in the way isn't the use. It has nothing to do with the use. It has to do with the future change of use. And we all know we have parking issues and you're very sensitive to that and you're saying that's a problem. So what I was suggesting to the mayor on the side here is perhaps we table this, bring back a condition. I don't think you can do it tonight unless you feel constructive. A condition that this conditional use is granted, and I'm talking to Cody, this conditional use is granted, but limited to this particular use. And if the use changes, they need to come back and satisfy the parking needs. If that means reducing the units inside to a manageable level that match the existing parking with or without the 5, it doesn't matter. They're just going to become bigger units. And if you can make bigger units and fewer units and have enough parking, then we should be good. Would that work, Cody?
Yeah, so there's like a couple of opportunities. One is that they added a walkway. It's not really too necessary to development, and that's potentially 4 extra spaces, so 9 total.
Well,
that
we're
they-
way short. We're not even close.
Right. So there's that, just to add that into the mix. But I guess we get what you're saying. The biggest issue is the future. So what you can do, it's a planned unit development. You could say, you could put a condition of approval on there. It's a little complicated, but you could
Well,
say.
why not limit it?
Yeah.
Look, these
Yeah.
people think they're going to live here forever. The
Right.
owners. What's it called? What's it called?
Circle.
Full circle. Limit it to full circle. If full circle doesn't come in, no longer exists, they
You
can't
limit it to
assign
the-
it, they
yeah.
can't sell it, they can't transfer it, they can't go bankrupt. And if they do, then the use ends, they have to come back.
Right, tied to the property owner.
Right.
Their
But
existing tenant.
expressed in the recitals of the ordinance that our problem is parking. They have to meet the parking with the next use, whatever that takes.
Right.
If it means taking down walls, you take down the walls, interior.
Convert the whole thing to like a community center or meeting place or something. right?
Or
You know.
5 units, 5 big units,
Mhm.
and you have enough parking. 6 units, that whatever the units are.
Mhm.
I mean, that way we're kind of protected in the future if Full Circle doesn't, continue to exist or whatever. We don't know what the future holds.
I mean, I think we all agree. I mean, I pass that space every single day since my office is right there. There's 6 cars in the parking lot. Sorry.
But that's not,
There's like 6 cars in the parking lot all day long, and so, I mean, we all, I think, agree that the parking isn't needed now, but I guess the future is definitely an issue or a concern. So David said, do you agree that was something along those lines?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Because we do really intend to own it in perpetuity. So if we put the restriction on it that's this condition for being okay with the fewer parking now is fine and just tied with us, then
you and this particular use for
That's correct.
for vets or however we're going to phrase it.
yeah, that
I
would be
think we
fine for
can do
us.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think you need these extra 5. That doesn't do us any good. You don't even need the ones you're building.
Yeah.
You need like 2. From what I'm hearing. I don't know.
That is true, yeah.
So,
So yeah, that's
why
fine
don't,
for
why don't
us.
we table this? If I have to turn to the city council, are the ones who spoke up against this because of the parking, would that help relieve the tension here?
I think it would
Parking?
to some extent. We still have the issue as far as coming out further out. And one other question I had was, looking at the concept picture as far as the amount of masonry on the building, do they meet the code?
No, they don't. That's part of the exceptions that they're requesting. Just to clarify, they meet the RM2 setback requirements. When this project was done, and this might have been an oversight by their engineer when they did the subdivision, they included platted setback lines, and the building that's already there today is already in the platted building setback lines. I don't know how that happened, but this is why the exception is being requested to allow it to encroach without amending the subdivision. So that was the reason behind it. Other than that, if this was just an RM2 development, it meets the RM2 district requirements, just to be clear.
I realize that. My only qualm of more than anything else, you look down the street and all of a sudden there you got a building sticking out, and it kind of, and then you don't even have one that doesn't have the total masonry that it's supposed to have. So,
How much masonry is the code require?
75% in the RM2 district. Right now, it proposed is 35.71.
Is that a deal breaker?
No.
I figured, like, I mean, I like the look of the other building. I honestly do. I mean, if that's not a deal breaker, I would prefer to see it that way, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
And
we
I
can
think
make
the
that
majority of
change.
council or all of the council is in
Yeah.
agrees with that. So, if that's something that we can work out and table it for
Mhm.
tonight, bring it back in 2 weeks
Okay,
and get this thing through.
sure.
You good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Those that made the motion, are you good to withdraw?
It was Alderman Doherty and then it was Alderman Miller.
Are you both
Yes.
okay to withdraw? Withdraw? Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll make a motion to table the item. We'll bring it back in 2 weeks and get you guys moving.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate everyone coming. I just don't want this to vote tonight and then go sideways. So, all right, I'm looking for a motion to table item 6D as presented. Alderman Doherty,
I'll make the motion to table item 60 as presented.
thank you. Alderman Miller, you want to second it? Thank you. Trish, can you call the roll?
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller, Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey.
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes,
Alderwoman Bainey.
Yes.
Thank you, council. So staff will be in touch with you. Cody, you want to reach out to them tomorrow or whatever the case may be, and we'll discuss with David how we can make this happen. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night. All right. Next item on the agenda is 6E, business improvement grants. Is there any council members looking to vote no on these items? Can we put them all into one? Alderman Glab, are you good with
I would rather break them down.
break them down? Perfect. All right. Item 6E1, Business and Improvement Grant, and the law offices of Robert W. Fetzner. Motion to approve a business improvement grant agreement with the law offices of Robert W. Fetzner for $5,000. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Miller,
I will make that motion to approve the business improvement grant with the law office of Robert Fetzner for $5,000.
thank you. Second, Alderman Benny,
I'll second that motion.
thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council. Alderman Glenn.
Yeah, just the fact that I just look at it as far as that's just regular building maintenance that should be done normally. I mean, it's not anything new, different, expansion or whatever. It's just normal, basic maintenance of a building. And I don't think the taxpayer should be paying for the regular maintenance of a building. Plus the fact that we're giving out money for grant money after the fact, after it's all been done. You know, so that's where I've got a problem with this one, and I'm not going to support it.
Thank you. Alderman Cook.
Yeah, I don't like to support it because like with the other ones, there is something coming back to the city of McHenry tax wise. This is I don't know, private industry, you know, he's a lawyer. Maintaining of a building, I don't see where tax dollars should be going to this building. It's not, I mean, it's not ambiance or anything. It just, I have a negative feeling for that.
Any other council comments? No? All right. Open up for public comment. Any public comment regarding this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller. Yes. Alderwoman Bainey.
Yes.
Alderman Doherty.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
What's the motion for again?
That's
To approve it?
To approve it.
No.
Alderwoman Bassey.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
No,
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6E2, Business Improvement Grant for Fast Eddie's Car Wash. Motion to approve a business improvement grant agreement with 2 on 7 Squared Inc. of $5,000. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Bainey.
I'll make the motion to approve a business improvement grant for Fast Eddie's Car Wash.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Cook.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council. Any public comment? Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah, just the fact that already with the discussion of the car wash on the other side of the river, I made the statement to the fact that, competition just lifts everybody doing things better And I'm sure this was planned ahead of time, but it's just interesting how it came up as far as I think what they're going to do with the car wash. The sign is really a nice improvement. And again, you see businesses uplifting.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you knew, but they're dumping about 1.5 million into this property. So, I mean, it's pretty significant. So yes. Alderman Miller?
So I drove by there today and the whole driveway's torn up. Is anybody know what's going on there with the driveway?
So many of the new car washes are putting heat in, like a radiant in the actual outside area. I don't know if that's what they're doing. Is that what they're doing? No? Okay. That's what I'm guessing. I'm just taking a.
Yeah, it's
guess.
it's the whole wipe down big
Yeah.
space. It's
So
a big
that's my
square.
guess is versus them having to shovel it and plow it in the winter, it actually heats it up and melts the snow, like a snow melting system.
Nice. Thank you.
Now, that's my guess, once again. Alderman Cook?
They don't have a permit for that? I mean, you don't,
They do, but Ross isn't here and,
okay.
yeah. So Ross is gone for a couple days. But we'll send that out to council. You got that. All right. Any other comments by council? No public comment? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bainey,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is E3. Sorry.
I was just nice and quiet. Yes.
Next item on the agenda is 6E3, business improvement grant to Atika. Is that right? Atico. Oh, Atico Coffee and Tea. Motion to approve a business improvement grant agreement with Atico LLC DBA, Atico Coffee and Tea, and Summit Ventures LLC for $10,861.97 for the property located at 1323 Riverside Drive. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Doherty?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve item 6E3, the business improvement grant for Atico Coffee and Tea is presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by city council? Alderman Bainey?
I just want to say how exciting it is when I see someone move from the tiny shops to an independent space. So congratulations, and to Director Martin as well. That's awesome.
Agreed. Alderman Miller?
And again, I just want to give you kudos for taking on that building. It's been a Taekwondo school forever. So I can only imagine when I look at your floor plan that it's like a complete gut and do-over. So thank you for taking that on. It'll be a great addition to Riverside Drive. Hopefully the bakery will come back and you'll be just another complement to all of the service areas on Riverside. Thank you.
Any other comments by council? Any public comment? Please call the roll.
Alderwoman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bainey.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Look forward to having you. I was at, oh,
Yes.
And you call Alderman Doherty Alderwoman.
Yeah, you're good. Just,
yeah.
just go. Do what the flow. I said yes. Just,
This is why we need all.
You leave, we all leave.
Long day, yes.
But no, thank you very much for your investment. I was in there the other day. Great job. Look forward to it. All right, next item on the agenda is 6F, zoning text amendments. Motion to pass an ordinance granting various zoning text amendments to the City of McHenry zoning ordinance. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Miller?
I will make the motion to pass an ordinance granting various zoning text amendments to the City of McHenry zoning ordinance, and I'm grateful that we are getting our zoning ordinance up to date.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Glad?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council. Carolyn, would you like to come up? Yep.
Okay.
Center button. There you go.
So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak to my passion and now to my professional life. So again, I'm Carolyn Schofield, and I am here on behalf of One Energy Renewables. In October, we presented a commercial solar project along Curran Road. At that time, the project was denied, notably based on the location. During and after the October meeting, we heard feedback on the proposed project. Excuse me. Wow. That it, excuse me, that it was too close to the existing residents and too visible from a main roadway. We also heard during that meeting that no one is against solar, it is the location. As a result, One Energy has had discussions with the property owner to relocate the solar project at least 750 feet from the existing homes and not visible from the main roadway. One Energy is planning on presenting this new project location at your next City Council meeting. One Energy has been working for months to address comments from the October meeting and incorporate them into the new plan. The text amendments before you tonight would most likely eliminate the potential for this project. We respectfully request that you delay the text amendment proposal before you this evening. While we appreciate the incorporation of community solar into your zoning ordinance, the proposed text amendment would severely limit community scale solar. Based on an analysis by One Energy, there are only 2 parcels zoned I-1 that are not currently developed and large enough to support community solar. These 2 parcels are further restricted by potential wetlands that could inhibit development. Many parcels currently zoned I-1 are along major arterial roadways, which conflict with concerns previously raised regarding siting of solar projects. While the rising cost of energy prices, as well as states' commitment to renewable energy and clean energy sources, the inclusion of community solar is an emerging priority that will benefit a community without a public monetary investment. Limiting barriers to community solar benefits your community with the demand for labor on new commercial solar projects, providing local jobs, through first rights of access to the energy produced, and with a significant investment into your community. Community solar would introduce renewable local energy production and energy cost savings to residents. One Energy Renewables is eager to present a revised proposal for the Mildred Solar Project, moving the previously proposed project area to the southeast, further from existing residents and roadways. We respectfully request tabling zoning ordinance amendments until after the One Energy Renewables conceptual plan presentation at the City Council meeting on October 20th. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, any council comments? Alderman Gleb?
I just want to say, I think staff did a nice job on this, and I'm in full support of it at this time.
Thank you. Any other comments by council? No? Clerk, please call the roll.
I gotta get it right this time. Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bainey,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey.
Yes.
Thank you, council. All right, next item on the agenda is 6G, a TIF amendment, motion to pass an ordinance amending the City of McHenry's redevelopment project and plan of, for the City of McHenry tax increment redevelopment project area by removing the property commonly known as 3413 Waukegan Road, McHenry, Illinois. David, you want to?
No, we sent out a letter. I think the issue is pretty clear.
Okay.
If anybody has questions, I'll try and answer them.
At this point, I'm looking for a motion to approve 6G as presented. Alderman Dory?
I'll make the motion to approve item 6G, the TIF amendment as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council. Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I just want to say, removing it from the tax redevelopment area does loosen up the hands as far as legalities, but then as far as ethical, I tend to wonder, because even though if this property is dead center in the middle of the tip, everything that is developed around it still affects that property. And therefore, there really shouldn't be any discussion of whoever, when somebody owns that property. So I am not going to be in favor of it. It's the only reason why at this time.
Alderman Bassey?
Monty, could you put it up, please? Thank you. Okay. Not only is this property the primary resident and business address of an elected official, it is also directly between the undeveloped parking lots on Green Street and the former wastewater treatment center. There is arguably no property within the TIF more affected by future development. The TIF Act prohibits elected officials from discussing or voting on matters in the TIF property area if they own property. This is because TIFs are designed to boost property values, and owning property in the TIF area is considered a conflict of interest. This conflict of interest is also required to be disclosed immediately, not 11 months later. Removing the property does not eliminate the conflict of interest, it just excuses it. Conflict of interest laws exist for a reason and need to be followed strictly, especially for voting members. I too cannot support this.
Well, you're not understanding what?
Per disagreement with it? Who's
They think
the elected official
the,
or
the,
whatever?
the two alder, whatever people, I think what they're saying is the conflict continues to exist even if the property was removed from the TIF because the alderman still lives in the middle of the TIF. I think that's what they're saying, but that's not what the law says. The law says that's the way to solve this problem.
For instance, my property was
Right.
removed
I
as
mean-
well, right on Green Street.
Before the problem was created.
Right.
Right? The mayor was going, if he got elected in 17, if I remember right, and in 18, he was going to buy his business, wherever it is, and it's in the TIF. And before he bought it, I think we removed it in anticipation of that because the issue came to a head. This issue came to a head recently because Alderwoman Bassey brought it up, and it was a good point. I mean, it's a legit point. So we're doing the best we can at this stage.
Can I make another comment? And this is about in reference to you being removed from the TIF. The mayor is not a voting member of council. His business is clearly marked with his name, and ownership was disclosed to the city immediately. So as mayor, he would definitely need to be removed because he does need to have access to everything.
No, it's the removal is the choice of the elected person. If the person doesn't remove the property, they just can't discuss, they can't participate in the discussion, and of course they can't vote. That's the choice of the elected person. They have two choices, or they can remove, or they have three. They could quit being on the city council. But the two obvious ones are to remove the property and then participate and vote, or leave it in and don't participate and don't vote. Right? So there are some opportunities here. And I don't remember how that came to a head. I think you knew about the conflict. I don't remember.
No, I didn't know. I think Alderman Glad brought it up.
Yeah,
if I'm not
whatever. It came
mistaken.
to a head right away. That's the
Yeah,
point.
I think, sorry, I'm not calling you out. I think
Other-
you were right. I don't, I think it was-
Otherwise, you would have brought the property,
I-
and then when we determined
Right.
it, we would have dealt with it,
yeah,
just like we're doing right now.
when I was elected, I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't, but I fake it till you make it, Alderman Miller, go ahead.
What changed?
Wow. Hey.
That's not.
Go ahead.
So by approving this motion, Alderwoman Bainey's home would be removed from the TIF, and she could continue to collaborate, discuss, and vote on any TIF expenditures.
Yes, unless when you get to the word conflict, if there's a subjective determination by Alderwoman Bainey that she feels conflicted herself, not objectively, but subjectively to herself, then she can excuse herself. That's her choice.
Thank you.
Just as it is with any issue that comes to the city council.
really, it's stay in the TIF and be silent, or get out of the TIF. and be
Participate.
vocal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Bobby, for putting you in this whole situation. But any other comments, questions? All right. Any public comment regarding this? Trish, please call the roll.
Alderman Doherty,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bainey would abstain, right?
She should, yeah.
Abstain.
Right, okay. Alderman Glad,
No.
Alderwoman Massey,
No.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
That is passed. All right. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is 6H, McCollum Lake Treatment. Motion to waive a competitive bidding process and approve a proposal from Solitude Lake Management and the treatment of McCollum Lake and Eurasian milfoil. Is that right?
Eurasian.
Eurasian? What that? See? I'm faking it until I make it, you know what I mean? Eurasian milfoil in the amount of $22,490. Director Hobson, go ahead.
There's not much that I have to add outside of the supplement. This is pretty straightforward and something we've been doing for a while now and treating the lake to make sure that it's accessible for our community and that it's in the healthiest situation that we can provide for our community. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bill. I'm looking for a motion to approve this item. Alderwoman Bainey,
I'll make a motion to approve the McCollum Lake treatment as presented.
thank you. Second, Alderman Cook,
I second the motion.
thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council. Any public comment? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bainey,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Davis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Doherty.
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a budget review and CIP. Do you need a break to get it all situated or you good? All right. All right. If anyone does anyone need a restroom break? Alderman Miller needs a restroom break. So, all right, let's take a break. 5-minute break. 2 minutes. No, 5 minutes. No, 2 minutes for you. You're not going outside. I know what this 2 minutes.
It's a 7
I'm
minutes to
s-
smoke.
I'm helping you. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Take 7 minutes to have a cigarette.
No, ma'am.
Suzanne, floor is yours. We're going to be discussing the budget review and CIP.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am back again for the second part of the budget. Obviously, tonight's been a little bit long already, so I will try to get through this as quickly as possible. If at any point you have any questions or comments about the budget, feel free to jump in and interrupt me. We'll give periodic updates or periodic opportunities to do that as well. So if you recall, at our last meeting, we went over the general fund, the recreation center fund, and the water and sewer fund. This conversation this evening relates to the remaining funds that are on the city's books. We will also take a look at the capital investment plan for 2026 to 2030. And then staff's hope coming out of this will be city council consensus to move forward with completing the budget, finalizing everything, and bringing it back for a final vote at the next city council meeting. Since our last conversation, we've had a few small tweaks and changes to the general fund budget. We just wanted to point those out. That total is about $1.3 million. The biggest one there is an increase of $1.4 million for the Route 31 widening contract expense. So that's been added into the budget. And then we've got another pretty significant increase of $75,000. And that's, as we discussed last time, the only staffing change recommended for the budget this year was to add a part-time code enforcement officer. That in this budget has been increased to a full-time code enforcement officer. As the council is aware, we have quite a bit of development potentially on the horizon. Not only that, but we have an ongoing need for additional code enforcement. So staff thought that that would be a good investment on the city's behalf. And then there's just some other small tweaks to other funds, other operating budgets that result in that 1.3 million total.
Just a fast question, and I know if the more questions we ask, the longer it takes.
True enough.
But we're talking a part-time person for code enforcement. Are we talking like for nights and weekends or?
Well, so
'Cause this is
originally,
where,
yeah.
You know, once City Hall's doors close, everything goes.
Well, so I don't know that that's necessarily the plan in terms of the hours of that position. But I will say the reason we're pointing this out tonight is because in the last conversation that we had just 2 weeks ago, there was a part-time person in the budget, and now that has been increased to a full-time position. So I would anticipate that that person would work the normal 8 to 4:30 hours. But obviously that's up for debate, and this position won't be hired for quite some time. This is right now just the budget conversation. Anyone else? Good. All right. And there were no changes to the rec center or water and sewer funds subsequent to our last conversation, just to point that out. Jumping into the special revenue funds, I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. Again, if you have questions, feel free to jump in. The biggest one here is the tourism fund. That's where we pay for all of our annual events, including Shamrock's the Fox, Light the Night, all the fireworks, those types of things. We've got also the pageant fund and the band fund. Any questions on any of those three? Alderwoman Bassey.
Okay, thanks. Last year, I requested the city look into a short-term rental / Airbnb tax. You told me that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Crystal Lake already has this tax, and Woodstock is now exploring doing the same. Will you look into this and bring it to council for discussion?
Yeah, that is something that Director Lynch and I have already discussed. So that's something we're looking at. Anyone else? All right, talking now about the Civil Defense Fund for Natural Disasters and the Alarm Board Fund. Does anyone have any questions on either of those two items? All right, moving on. Next up is the Audit Fund, which I think is fairly self-explanatory. And the Annexation Fund. The only thing I wanted to point out about the Annexation Fund is that that's where the mining fees revenue goes. So that's about $75,000 a year in revenue. So we have a fund balance right now about 1.4 million projected by the end of 26-27. And so that's something that Director Lynch and I have talked about just in terms of some flexibility to spend those monies on infrastructure, which is what it's designated for. So to keep that in the back of our minds, in our back pockets too for Route 31. Jumping into the Motor Fuel Tax Fund and the Local Motor Fuel Tax Fund. These, again, fairly self-explanatory. These monies, when they are collected, are dedicated to road improvements. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about the roads that are projected and what those projects look like. in these funds and the two following funds as part of the capital discussion, which will follow. Any questions on MFT? All right, the developer donation fund. Obviously, we've talked quite a bit about this with the city council. This is collect donations from developers. We collect these not only on the city's behalf, but also on behalf of the school districts and the fire protection district and the library district. So a lot of those monies then are just passed through and are distributed on a regular basis to those other taxing bodies. Again, we have some projects that we'll talk about in a moment. Any other questions? And then, of course, we have the TIF fund, which we talk a lot about. This is where we obviously take the income and then fund the projects that are coming in and out of the TIF fund. We've got a fund balance projected of just about $2 million in the negative for the end of fiscal year 26-27. Just a reminder that this is sort of what the TIF is designed to do, right? It's project-based financing. And we have about $1 million a year in income that comes into the TIF. Actually, it's 1.8 million because we've got some grant funds in there for the upcoming year. Any questions specific to the TIF fund? All right. Any other questions? Moving on. All right, talking a little bit about our debt service fund. This is just a list of the bonds that the city has outstanding. I just wanted to point out, obviously, you can see here we've got 3 bonds that are rolling off in 2027 at various times. And so that's going to open up some flexibility, hopefully, in the city's budget to the tune of about $330,000 in fiscal year 27, 28, and beyond. Any questions on that? We have plenty of other ways to spend that money, Alderman Cook, so don't worry. All right. Talking a little bit about proprietary funds. So these are just our internal funds that we use to kind of pass through some of the expenses. So the employee insurance fund, that is for our insurance benefits, health insurance, et cetera, for the employees. And then also this is our risk management fund, which pays for the city's insurance. Any questions on either of those? Up next is the Information Technology Fund. This is, again, a fund that all of the departments pay into through their operating budgets, and it's the way that the city tracks all of our technology expenses. You can see here that we have a number of technology-related projects that are in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The biggest one here is the virtual hosts server and storage replacement. Obviously, we are in a continuous effort to upgrade our technology and upgrade our security. And so this will help us with both of those initiatives. Any questions on any of the IT projects? Sure, the deputy chief would love to answer your questions on IT projects if you have them. Okay. And then we'll talk a little bit about our enterprise funds. Obviously, as you're aware, we discussed the water sewer fund at the last meeting. This is actually where we'll talk a little bit again about the water plant number 5 build out that's going to be scheduled for the upcoming year. That's where we run those types of projects through. So the development fees come in. Those are targeted for expansion of water and sewer systems. And so we have this pretty significant project coming up this year that I know that Director Adams is very excited about. And then we've got the Marina Operations Fund. That is where we run the expenses and revenue that we receive from the contracted operator of the city-owned marina. Any questions on any of those items? All right, last up, our fiduciary funds. This is just money that we are holding on to for various purposes. These are not monies that can be spent on city purposes. So that includes the employee pre-tax medical accounts, development escrows, retained personnel. So these are all development related items. The revolving loan fund that we talk about fairly regularly here for local businesses, and then also the police pension fund. Anyone have any specific questions on any of those? Okay, now comes the fun part. All right, so our capital investment plan, as those who have been on the council for some time may remember, a few years ago, the city went from a 5-year plan to a 20-year plan. And that was in an effort really to have a full accounting of all of our assets. When we talk about capital planning, we're talking about big ticket items essentially. So those that cost over $10,000 and will typically have a life of a year or longer. What we're trying to do always is be proactive and plan ahead, right? So the CIP, the 20-year CIP really gave us a good picture of all of the things that the city owns and will need to reinvest in the future. I want to just state for the record, we still have that 20-year CIP and we're using that. But from a transparency perspective and from a realistic spending perspective, we were of the opinion that the 5-year plan actually makes a lot more sense. You know, I feel like if you're going to look at something, you don't have a crystal ball, you don't know how much something's going to cost in 10 years. So those out years are really just, you know, they're just a stab in the dark, right? And so we wanted to really focus in on these next 5 years and try to give the council and give the community something that made a little bit more sense, I think, for a layperson, and also was just easier to understand and from a staff perspective as well. So I just want to say thank you and kudos to the public works staff. They really took this and ran with it, and so I appreciate that. And hopefully the council appreciates it as well. We'll run through sort of what this new plan looks like a little bit. Obviously, we're open to your feedback and questions because we're trying to refine this and improve it on an ongoing basis. One of the goals here was to be able to really slice and dice this information in whatever way the council and the community was looking to see it. So you'll see we have everything done by department. We have it done by asset class. So you can see here this list: facilities, parks and land, infrastructure, fleet. So trying to create those larger groupings was important for us. And then we also have it by funding source. So it's going to be easy to see as you look through this. For example, like the Developer Donations Fund, you can look at that and see exactly what the projects are that are kind of slated from the staff's perspective, from a planning perspective, to be paid out of that fund. And then each of the items for this upcoming fiscal year that are recommended and budgeted, there's a detail sheet, like you can see an example here for the Route 31 project, that again includes the cost over the 5-year horizon for each of those projects, as well as the proposed source of funds, and so how staff is proposing to pay for these projects. So is there any questions or feedback from the council in terms of the formatting at this point? No? Okay. All right, so again, let us know. All right, so this is taking a look at the general fund requests for the first 5 years. So we've got that total of about 104 million for 5 years. I want to point out some of these things. Again, this is a planning document, right? And so I don't want you to look at that 104 million and be scared by that. One of the things that's in here, for example, you see in fiscal year 28-29 under facilities, we've got a $50 million expense. That's Director Hobson and the rec center expansion. So blame him. You know, again, so some of this is just, especially in these outer years, this is just this is what the staff is giving our best guess in terms of what those expenditures may look like, just so that we can plan appropriately. Obviously, none of these expenses at this level are going to be done without the full approval of the city council. And so just again, keeping in mind, this is a planning document for 27 on, but for 26, 27, these are the numbers that are in the budget. And then again, by funding source, so you can see for this upcoming fiscal year, we've got about 1.7 million in general fund, and then a total of about 9.2 million. And that includes the TIF spending on well, we'll talk about the projects in a second. All right, so here they are. All right, so this is for the general fund projects that are using fund balance. We've got the Riverside Streetscape Design. So we've got the design in there, and then of course the construction comes later. And then we've got this number that we just talked about for Route 31, which is that 1.4 million. And then the one at the bottom here is the city entrance signs. Obviously, everyone knows this has been in the budget for a couple of years. Director Martin is actively working on this. We are looking at not only those monument signs for the ingress and egress to the city, but also now taking a hard look at the downtown directional signage and you know, all the groups of signage that we have out there as well as the parking signage downtown. So we're going to have another conversation about signage here in a moment at one of the upcoming meetings. Does anyone have any specific questions about these projects? All right. General fund projects, streets operating. We've got a couple of projects here for Venice Avenue, engineering and construction. We've got the Oakwood Drive Bridge rehab engineering. That's a rebudget. And then construction, which is a partial rebudget from last year. And then we've got about $365,000 going towards the road program out of this fund. All right. Looping back to MFT for a minute, here is the list of streets and projects that are projected to be paid with MFT funds, both general MFT and local MFT in the upcoming fiscal year. Again, so that road program that was just approved, it's about 1.4 million. Any questions on any of these items? For the developer donations fund, we've got about $360,000 worth of projects that are included in the budget this year. Knox Park Field Turf, that's the big one, obviously at $265,000. I'm sure that Director Hobson would be delighted to answer any questions you have about anything developer donations fund related. Okay. Oh, Alderman Bessie.
I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I've got three park questions. Do you want me to do them now or?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. These are all for you, Director Hobson. Okay. The city is budgeting $40,000 for a third-party concept plan for Peterson Park and $30,000 for a third-party concept plan for the donated land in Fox Ridge along Boone Creek. My question is, why is $70,000 budgeted for concept plans for a park in excellent condition and a wetland that should remain a wetland when there are more parks throughout the city, including Brookside Trail Park and Overton Park, that are in bad condition?
Well, Overton just has a gazebo in it, and that's a small neighborhood park.
Right. I
And
was
then
actually at both of those this
and-
morning.
Yeah, and Brookside Trail is a natural area. In order to develop any of those areas, including the ones that are proposed, particularly the potential of donated land, you want to have some plan in place to be able to potentially apply for grants, similar to the process that we did for Cold Springs Park, and access those monies. Peterson Park, it's existed since the late 1970s, and it needs a facelift. It's our most popular park in terms of rentals for especially for like graduation parties or birthday parties. And so when you come into that backside of the park, we've had some issues with the oak trees and some of the oak trees that we've had to remove. And so it just, from that back entrance, we need to do a facelift. We need to do something to spruce that up when you come into that, one of our premier parks and our premier areas. And so to take a comprehensive look at that area, we felt like, especially when you start incorporating the areas that's not utilized, that back 40 between East Beach and Peterson Park, you have an opportunity to now create more walking paths and tie neighborhoods together in a more pedestrian-friendly access nature. And so we thought it was worthwhile to propose this anyway. Obviously, it's up to council, and you could say that we don't think this is a good use of our funds.
Mm-hmm.
I would, if you wanted to replace Brookside Trail, or that would be one, or Boulder Creek Park, I guess, is one that has got some attention lately. But I would suggest the same thing of go to a consultant and say, what do you propose? What does this look like to take this land that's largely a natural area and then put some plan into place that takes a number of factors into account, whether that's wetlands. For example, the potential donated land, it's not intended to be anything more than a nice connector path along that creek. But to have a professional look at that and analyze and say, all right, this works, this doesn't work, in terms of being the most responsible for an area that could be potentially sensitive, I think that's important. It's not something that we could do in-house as staff, other than draw something up that might work. We're not sure, but it's their job when we hire them to say this is something that will work, as well as here's some ideas to incorporate that they have the expertise to draw from other parks or other experiences, potentially to have some improvements at Fox Ridge as well. with that land that's adjacent to it. So for those reasons, that's why both of those projects are included. But if there's others that you feel like that should raise up on that list of that we should address, we're always happy to do that.
Well, I'm not sure what you could do with the wetlands, because I walk over in that area and all I see is the creek and a lot of young kids fishing on it. So I'm not sure the need for $30,000 for a concept plan there.
You're talking about the potential donated land?
Yes,
Concept
yes,
plan?
yes.
Yeah. There's a corridor that goes through there and a potential that you could stay far enough away from that creek and within the donated corridor to bring us all the way to Whispering Oaks and to have a nice path from Fox Ridge, from Boone Creek, all the way into Whispering Oaks Park right into the center of our downtown is an exciting opportunity. And it would be great to be able to explore that.
And I agree, but I also think that's something that we could do in-house. So we'll see when it happens. Okay, question number 2. Cold Springs Park is in extremely poor condition, and the city is long overdue in their commitment to maintain it as a passive nature path with trails. The city was prepared to spend $600,000 from the developer's donation fund this year prior to not receiving the OSLID grant. Instead, $1.2 million is budgeted in the 27-28 for a redesign. As you know, I did attend the city's Cold Spring Parks open house, and residents were clear they wanted the trails maintained. The adding of playground equipment and natural-based fitness and learning area had minimal support from the residents. I reviewed the budget submitted for the OSLAD grant, and the city, if the city only funds the trails and the maintenance, there's more than enough money in the developer donation fund to complete it this year. Is this something you're considering? And again, I was at that path this morning too.
So from Cold Springs, again, we brought this up at a previous council meeting in terms of what's the council's desire. The idea being certainly we could resubmit from an OSLAD. There was a very competitive cycle this year for us to be able to leverage additional funds and basically receive, it's not free money, but $600,000 that matched the money that we would have to put into it. So that's been the plan, is to look at resubmitting. I can tell you that in talking to our representative, I haven't been able to receive the actual scoring sheets from each of the projects.
Okay.
However, we did not score high enough on any of those. And part of that was because of the elements. And so if you take more elements out of that plan, then we score lower. That does remain the option to simply improve the path. Is to spend money that we have without matching dollars and take a portion of the 600,000 or all that 600,000 that we anticipated. The idea was always to submit for the grant because then it leverages dollars and we can double our money. And so that's where you saw some of those come back. I think that's still an idea. I still think that's a great plan to be able to, we talked a lot about it in that meeting that you're at, connecting neighborhoods, whether that's via Ponca, whether that's via the Prairie Trail. I think those are important opportunities for us. Those opportunities came up in our master plan. And so I don't think those are things that we should ignore. But in terms of improvement to Cold Springs Park, I think that comes back to council as well, of a desire. What would you like to see? We don't have to submit for the grant. We have money in the Parks Developer donation that we could then use to improve pathways and not try to leverage additional money. That's certainly an option.
So I just want to go back. So you were thinking about the donated land, the $30,000 would be for a concept plan, but you were also, if I'm hearing it right, this was also an opportunity to submit for the OSLID grant in that location?
Without a plan, we can't submit. It wouldn't
Right, I
be anything
understand.
that
With a
we would
plan-
submit this year, but in a future year, for
Okay.
sure, we would want to, it'd be great to have a plan that's sitting there that we can say, hey, what projects, we hear this occasionally, what projects are shovel ready? What projects do you have a plan in place for that you can then hand to a senator, a lobbyist, whatever that, or put on a grant application, but without a plan that you.
I understand you have to
Yeah.
plan you. And I'm only asking all these questions now because once we approve this, we're basically giving it our blessing. So my last question for you is, and I think you kind of hit on it, Suzanne, there is a $50,000 capital request in the 27-28 for a rec center feasibility study and a $50 million capital request in 28-29 for a rec center expansion. $50 million is significantly more than the city's entire yearly operating budget. In 2018, a $30 million rec center expansion was rejected by 61% of the voters. This is because as much as residents might want an expanded rec center, they know this cannot be done without increasing their taxes or the city going into debt. My question is, why has it not been made clear for these community surveys, which, you know, it consistently comes out they want to expand it, that the expansion cannot be done without raising taxes or the city going into debt? How can this be how can this $50 million rec center be paid without raising taxes or going into debt?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, in terms of without raising any taxes, I think I don't know if that's feasible. Doesn't necessarily have to be property taxes. We could consider a third or a quarter cent sales tax that then hits all of our visitors and maybe it lessens that burden on a property tax. I will stress again, you know, in seeing that this is a planning document, and I understand from I've been asked to lay out what would that planning look like over the next 5 years potentially, and what does that snapshot look like, and so that's why it appears this is not any referendum, excuse the words, but it's not any referendum money. This is exactly what we're going to do. It all falls on council's shoulders to do what we're going to do. But in terms of directly answering your question, how can we build it without a tax increase of some sort or going into debt? It's not feasible. At some point, I don't know how else you would do that. Maybe somebody smarter than me can answer that question, but maybe we can find a $50 million donor, somebody that really wants a facility here in McHenry. But the short answer to that is without some sort of debt service, without some sort of tax increase to fund that type of construction, you might be, you know, I'm very confident that coming out of this business analysis and study that we'll have some good direction moving forward to bridge any gaps or cover revenue or be able to sustain a facility even moving forward. Putting that type of capital investment is going to require some sort of debt service that comes along with it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, but as long as you're talking about the rec center, it's not up to us to spend that kind of money. It's up to our residents. If we're going to spend that kind of money, then it needs to go to referendum. Simple and easy. Don't put it on the shoulders of the council.
Don't mistake me. My point being that for that to even appear on any question, for it to ever appear on a ballot, becomes before you. It's our community that will answer that question. We've said that time and again. But in terms of, you're not deciding to build it. I mean, we could.
No,
but I understand that's not the desire of council.
We've had a referendum years
at this point,
back,
but
and the voters voted it down, and because not that they don't want the rec center, they don't want to have to pay for it out of their property taxes. And that's why we came up with the plan we did, and it's worked well up until COVID, and then everything fell apart, and nobody ever tried to put it back together for a long period of time, and we've been struggling.
We're putting it back together. I'm very confident in where we're at, actually.
All right. Shouldn't have to see any transfers of money from the general fund anymore. Then.
We should when the departmental operations are mixed with the rec center. There's a very distinct, you know, when you have all of our Parks and Rec operations that we've had since 1979, full-time, we've had full-time front counter staff, always here. We've had programming staff. And so when those same functions are moved to a rec center, there's a blending of the two budgets between the rec center and the Parks and Rec department. And so should the rec center have to account for all their operations of the Parks and Recreation department, be that front staff, be that programmings that we're running, like, you know, dance or fitness programs that we've always run. We had fitness classes above the chief's head, dance classes above the chief's head for a long time. And so when those two budgets interact, there's going to be some transfer of funds between the two. It's not that it's necessarily supporting it, but when the two funds are blended, there has to be some accounting for what those positions are doing.
Then that needs to be segregated to the council so that when constituents bring that up, we can explain it a lot better.
Yeah, that's
You know,
fair.
and you make a good point there, Bill, but it still needs to be separate, segregated to some extent. I mean, not penny to penny, but, you know, to some kind of percentage or whatever, so we can show why we're taking money out of the general fund to that. It makes sense, what you just said. But again, we need to know those facts a little bit better so
Okay.
that we can explain them when asked.
All right.
Thank
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you.
We got to get going, I think.
Yeah, I
Somebody's
just had
sitting
a
over
quick
there
question
waiting.
about the turf field. What's the thinking behind that? What do
So-
we need a turf field for over at Knox Park?
So the turf field at Knox Park is something that we talked about for a long time. It's one of our premier fields and one of our most rented fields at Knox Park. The idea being we spend probably over $20,000 a year just in maintenance, manpower costs to prep that field. And then we're rained out for any of it. We also use it for all of our in-house leagues. And so I don't have a report on what our revenue that we make coming in.
That was my question. It's a revenue generating.
It-
What is that revenue?
I-
What are we gonna get out of this? What's our ROI on this 265?
Sure.
You
Well,
know, I mean, are we doing it just to make hey, it's Knox Park and we're doing a pretty,
No.
so that people can play softball on turf? Or like, is it actually generating revenue from some of these clubs and stuff like that?
it will absolutely generate revenue. That's the goal, is then we can then turn around and not only have our in-house leagues that then become a little more attractive so that we can make more money. We've seen a decline in some of our in-house leagues, softball leagues. They just go other places. And that happens naturally. They'll go to Crystal Lake for a couple of years and come back. But the money it costs us to set all those fields up. But when you see like the opportunities that we've had for weekend tournaments and the requests that we've had for weekend tournaments, now with the turf field, not only can we become a reliable option for them, they don't have to worry about being rained out. Now we become much more attractive to bring in a lot of those youth baseball tournaments. And so we've really looked at it from that point of view to lessen our costs. Number one, our annual costs every year we have going into it, but then also become more attractive as a revenue generator. And I don't have a forecast for that revenue generation at this point. It's something I can certainly look into and report back.
Yeah, because that's only one field.
It is only one field, and we're only suggesting one field because the orientation of Knox Park Field 1 is set up that it would never change. You have the press box there. You're hitting in the direction you want to hit. Ideally, at some point, we'd like to turn Field 2 so that it hits the same direction. It's not a great setup right now where you have Field 2 basically hits into Field 1 and vice versa. And so, we looked at the possibility of switching that around, but we just can't. We can't do that. So to start us off and do a nice improvement there, that was a good start for us from a facility point of view. It's something we can tackle, a project we can tackle.
Just trying to understand the thinking.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Thank you. I just wanted to re-comment on Alderwoman Bassey's comments. When I first came on council, I was completely confused why we spent so much money on engineering and design. And since I've been here for a few years, I'm grateful that we do, because it's another set of eyes on every project. And sometimes I felt I was tunnel visioned on what we have and how great we are. And by going out to conceptual design and other engineering ideas, we've had great things happen because someone else said, do it a different way, or I've done it like this somewhere else. So I support the conceptual designs. If we do nothing with them, we have that professional service in our back pocket. So when we need it, we have it. The $50 million rec center, when I opened this document up, I just about fell off my desk chair. And it took me back to my early days of public service, which sitting here, I would say started in the 80s when I was a treasurer of the local library. And we used to do a project called Budget and Appropriations. And if you didn't wish it, you couldn't spend it. Obviously, we're far from that now with a capital outlay plan. But I kind of went, if you don't wish it, you can't spend it. So what if somebody gave us $50 million? Where would we put it? If it's not on this plan, we can't spend it. And understanding that we have the ultimate control over pulling that trigger, I was grateful after I came out of shock to see that it was there and we were thinking forward enough to put it out there as a, let's start thinking about it now. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was fun. All right, then looking at the TIF fund for a moment, we have a few projects that are coming out of this that are pretty significant. Obviously, once you build something, you have to maintain it, and so we've got this $300,000 that's in here for the redecking of the Riverwalk. We're hoping that it's going to come in a little bit less than that. We're hearing that it may. So fingers crossed for that, but that's a pretty significant project for the upcoming fiscal year. And then obviously you can see the Riverside Streetscape is in there. We've talked, quite a bit about that. That 2.6 million that's coming out of the TIF is then obviously going to be supplemented by the grant funds that the city was awarded, and that's in the amount of 771,000. And then you'll see in a moment when we get to water and sewer, there's a component of the streetscape that would be paid out of water and sewer as well. Any questions on TIF projects?
This is my last comment, I promise. Okay. And you did already mention some of this, but I want to put my own spin on things. Per Director Lynch, the TIF fund currently has a deficit of $518,723. The 26-27 budget will put the TIF fund deficit just $3,029 under $2 million. There seems to be a reluctance to acknowledge that the TIF is in debt to the general fund because the TIF is not ending, but the reality is the deficit is funded by the general fund and that this money is meant for the entire city. TIF spending is out of control and it is at the expense of the rest of the city. The TIF fund needs to prioritize reimbursing the general fund and spend within its means. The downtown TIF does not end for 11 more years. If that means projects need to be delayed in order to pay back the deficit to the general fund, then that's what should happen. The TIF fund generates more than $1 million annually, and it is extremely unfair to the rest of the city to supplement that with the general fund money.
Does anyone else have any further comments on that? Alderman Glab.
Just a comment, I'm sorry. Just a comment as far as we see the redecking here of $300,000. We're just talking decking, or are we talking the brick?
I'm going to kick that to Director Hobson.
Because we've got a lot of deterioration along the Riverwalk of brick.
Yeah,
Probably worse than the decking is.
This is just the decking. This is the phase one that was built in 2005, the redecking of that. We typically absorb a replacement sum of brick each year within our general maintenance, but not a substantial, let's say a $10,000 plus project. We try to take on where we can replace those bricks annually. But this project, the redecking, is the actual redecking of the entire boardwalk for phase one.
I don't know. I take a look at the boardwalk and I take a look at the stone, the brick, and it seems like there's a lot more deterioration of the brick than there is of the boardwalk.
I totally disagree in respect to your comments about the tax increment financing. It is working exactly as it is supposed to. The funds are not being taken away from the general fund. It is a bank account, so to speak, and it's one fund bringing money in from the other, supporting the other one. We didn't take $2 million away from the general fund in order to spend the money here. It's a fund transfer balance. It's fund accounting. The money's coming from one for the other. You yourself mentioned there's $1 million coming in 2 years' time. That million, it's back into the account if further, expenditures aren't made. But yet I fully see further expenditures coming from it. I have no problem. It's 11 years left to go. That's roughly $11 million that's going to be spent over that time frame. It's either going to be spent now or we can take advantage of it and use it, or it's going to be spent at the end of the project. We're borrowing from funds, not taking away from funds.
Yeah, and according to Director Lynch, and I would concur, the only time that the general fund would ever have to subsidize the TIF fund is if that TIF fund ends up in a negative position at the end of the TIF fund. And so typically that's not going to happen. What you want to do is spend your TIF money to the dollar and get all the projects done that you can get done.
Any other comments, questions?
Okay, moving on from the TIF. This is capital improvements and equipment funds. This is a lot of the equipment and trucks and police equipment and other things come out of this fund. And so here's a list of the projects that we have budgeted for the upcoming year. You see some forklifts, some tasers, SUVs, dump trucks. Does anyone have any questions on these particular items?
I'm not supporting the tasers unless I get one. I don't know who else is on. Just kidding. I don't blame you.
It all depends which end of the taser.
Yeah, oh, jeez.
Oh,
That's
tough
good.
crowd,
That's
tough
good.
crowd.
Like it. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Yep. All right, and then the balance
Oh,
of these
sorry,
are
Alderman
from,
Cook. Sorry, Alderman Cook had a question.
There's 310,000, 300,000 for your dump truck replacement. What year is that truck that you're showing me that it's all rusted in the back there?
Believe that one is a 2006.
Price is right. I mean, that's what they cost.
All right.
yeah, and because that is in the upcoming fiscal year, there's a specific detail sheet to that one, so we can pull that up and let you know after the meeting if you'd like.
I'm sorry, 2003.
Oh, even better. Or worse, I guess, from your whatever perspective you're taking. No. Any other questions on these items? Okay, and then moving on to the Parks and Rec section here, we've got some lighting at Vets Park and Knox Park. And we've got about $375,000 in basketball courts that need to be redone. And then you'll see this Shamrock Farms playground replacement. Are there any questions on these items? All right, looking at the police department here, we've got this surveillance trailer and some safety barricades. Obviously, we have a lot of parades and events in town, and the police department is looking to increase safety for those events. Any questions on those items?
I don't know about that.
Maybe from an aesthetic perspective, but from a safety perspective, not so much. Vintage barricades is not where you want to be, I don't think. All right, so moving on, that was it for the general fund. Moving on to water and sewer for a moment. Again, you can see we've got about $12 million in here, but there's some pretty significant projects starting with the water tower, or sorry, excuse me, the water treatment plant. All right, so here we have water capital projects for the year. The roof on Water Plant 1 is in here for 125. We've had some discussions just as staff about potentially aggregating some of the roof projects that we have, not only in this upcoming fiscal year, but in the out years as well. The building you're sitting in is going to need $1 million roof replacement at some point. And so just trying to get a handle on what that looks like over the next year is one of the goals that the staff has established. Then you can see the Riverside Drive streetscape here, the underground, that $785,000 is coming out of the water and sewer fund for those underground utilities. So that total there is 1.15 million for water capital projects. And then down here at the bottom, as we've talked about, is the Water Plant 5 construction for $5 million. Any questions?
$785,000 out of the water capital project.
That's for the underground work for the water and sewer replacements that will be part of that project for the streetscape.
In other words, when you say replacement, or are we moving it basically?
So we're replacing the water main underneath Riverside Drive as part of this project. It's an older water main, so water main, building services, or SLED services that are required by law to be replaced as part of that. So this is 100% utility replacement for that project.
Okay, that's fine. That makes sense.
Any other questions on these items? Thank you. More water and sewer. The hits just keep on coming. So this is the sewer side of the house. We've got about 1.17 million here in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The big ones, the sanitary sewer lining, that's an ongoing program that we do on an annual basis. Obviously, we've got a lot of sewers in the ground, and so we need to stay on top of maintaining those. And then we've got a lot of lift station improvements and pumps and other items here that I'm sure that Director Adams would love to talk to you about if you have any questions. Going once. All right. Any other questions regarding the CIP? Okay, thank you for your attention. All right, so we've got a couple of just dates coming up. So April 15th, once we have taken the feedback that we got tonight, we'll go back and finalize everything. We'll be sending the finalized budget out to the council for your final review on April 15th. And then that vote for the annual budget meeting will come on April 20th. Any other questions, comments? No? All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Suzanne. All right. Staff reports this evening. Is there any other new staff reports this evening besides what's gotten emailed out? Go ahead, Bill.
Only thing I have tonight is just, a reminder or I guess an update. The community mural project has done very well in terms of sales of the tiles. I think there's about 150 left, and they're making one final push to kind of put those out there. So if anybody's interested, or if you know already that's interested in that project, that make sure that you go on the website from the McHenry Riverwalk Foundation. You can buy them independently, but they're making a final push. So told them I would bring that up for them.
Thank you. Any other staff reports? Russ, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the contractor has remobilized to Venice Avenue. If anyone has not been down there recently, it does look a little bit like a bomb went off, but it is starting to take shape. There's a lot of curb that has been put in already, and you can really kind of get a vision for what that's going to look like. Contractors making really good progress, and we are hoping to potentially have binder down in the next 2 to 3 weeks while they wrap up some of the other stuff. So it's busy, it's congested, but if you have an opportunity to make a trip down there, I encourage you to do that because it's really kind of neat to see this take shape.
Thank you. Any others? Tom, nothing? I mean, this is your opportunity. Yeah. I get it. All right. I have nothing this evening besides, thank you to the staff, Public Works for doing that CIP. It's great, how it's been put together. So kudos to all the staff and everyone that's put a lot of work into that, and Suzanne. So that's all I got this evening. And city council comments? Alderman Cook?
I'd like to give a shout out to Russ over there with when they did the drainage ditch or the creek that runs through Ward 6. They cleaned it up very well. The last rain that we had and all that flowed very nice and all that. I didn't see no erosion or anything, and did a damn fine job. And I appreciate that, and so do all the neighbors, so I just wanted to give you an attaboy.
I will pass that along.
Any other city council comments? Alderman Bainey?
I just want to reiterate what Director Hobson said about the mural going in. I had been approached by the Riverwalk Foundation too, that nobody on city council was getting involved. So I bought 6, and I would challenge everybody else to purchase them. They're very small, really easy to do, and a great way to just show the community that we're putting our money where our mouth is and getting involved in things. So I hope everybody gets one.
Awesome. Any other city council comments? All right. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Cook?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Who's up in the audience?
Yes.
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 Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.